So this is the larger thing of what's happening. Now, there's two guys that I see talking about this. There's probably more. One is Professor Scott Galloway. The other is Chris Williamson. So what he's talking about is how men are being left behind.
You said the most dangerous person in the world is a man who's broken and alone. What do you mean by that?
Young men, 7 to 10 high school valedictorians or girls. For every one male college graduate over the next 5 years, there's going to be 2 female college graduates. 93% of mass shooters are men, 3 times more likely to overdose, 4 times more likely to commit suicide, 12 more times more likely to be incarcerated. They do worse in single-parent households. For some reason, girls have the same outcomes in a dual-parent household versus a single. We have more single-parent households. Our education system is biased against men. Men on a behavior-adjusted or boys on a behavior-adjusted basis are twice as likely to get suspended for the same infraction as a girl. 2/3 to 80% of all primary and secondary teachers are women, and understandably, they're going to champion little girls who they see themselves in. So young men just have the deck stacked against them. If you walk down the avenue that is America, 1 in 3 men under the age of 30 will not have had sex in the last year. And people hear the word sex and their brain fires different ways. But sex is a key step to the elemental foundation of any society, and that's a relationship. And then you wrap in COVID, you wrap in the biological fact that men's prefrontal cortex doesn't evolve as quickly. They're more immature. And then you have all this kind of short form ability to get similar dopa of relationships on social, similar dopa that you're learning or taking risks with Robinhood or gambling. You're not learning, you're not investing, you're gambling, and it's fun, but it's gambling. You don't have to put on a shirt or figure out the skills to meet women because you can get some of that hit by watching porn. I mean, what's your motivation to go out and go through the humiliation of dating to get to your own sex when you get a sort of a reasonable facsimile of it at home? What's your rationale for working hard and delaying gratification when you keep seeing these screenshots of men who've made 12,000% return on Solana? So, and men aren't good at executive functions. They're kind of 2 years behind. An 18-year-old boy applying to college is sort of on par with a 16 or a 17-year-old girl.
Now, saying that men are being left behind is not taking away from what women have been through, which is a shitload of bad stuff, and that is real. That is not saying that guys should also become crybabies about it, okay? I'm not saying either of those things. But something to realize is I want to talk a little bit about why guys are getting left behind. Like, what's going on there? What is the pattern that you're seeing? Here's what it is. I myself, as a man, I look in this room, and there's less than 1% of people in this room that I would trust to lead me. I wouldn't trust you guys to lead me when I look at you guys. I wouldn't. I would not. I don't want you guys fucking me. I don't want you guys putting your dick in me. I don't want you leading me. I don't want you having control of my bank accounts. I don't want you telling me what to do. None of that, okay? None of it. And the reason, I'll get into the reason what led you to that place, okay? But I would not allow you to lead me. So when guys complain about modern women and how women, you know, the modern woman is like a bitch or all this kind of stuff, they're not looking at themselves as a part of the problem. And then if I say this, then they'll come in and say it's guy shaming and so on and so forth. But what I would simply say is this. I would certainly not let any of you run my bank account. There's no way. But likewise, I would rarely meet a woman that I would ever consider putting a ring on her finger. I mean, that would be so rare. So it's kind of both sides. Like, society's unraveling is the point, okay? So in other words, like, I would not trust half what took me decades to build, half of all the dragons that I slayed, and I'm just like, here, take half of it. That's a great win for me. I certainly would rarely meet anybody who I think could add that much value to my life at all. There's literally no point whatsoever, okay? But likewise, there's also really no point for women either. There's not really a point on either side because we're not culturally taught to work synergistically anymore. But what I'm going to do here is I will show you the men's side of it. Now, you're aware of the women's side of it because you've seen that in all the different videos that are pushed out online. And there's actually good points in those, okay? But I want to show you the guy side of it. And then I want any woman that would watch this video, there's a couple of women in the audience here, I hope that you guys can enjoy this because I'm going to try to show you the pattern that's happening, okay? So this is a very neutral, gender-neutral video that men or women could learn from, I think. So as much as guys might complain that women don't want to get married, I have amazing female friends. I've got a couple female friends in this audience, amazing female friends. And like, if I were to bring up one of my female friends right now, and I got great female friends, and you were to just see how confident and well put together they are, and then we could go one by one, bringing you guys up from the audience, and be like, should she just let him lead her whole life? You'd be like, nah, that wouldn't really make sense. Like, just the couple female friends that you'll see that will come to my events this weekend, there's probably nobody in this room that any of us would unanimously agree, like, yeah, this guy should just lead her life, okay? That's just the truth. That's just the truth. So I want to just show it from the guy's side. If you're a woman and you're looking at this, you're just not able to find any good guys. You can't. They're not around. They don't exist, okay? But here's the funny thing is they do exist, but they're having sex with all your friends. so it makes it even trickier, okay? It makes it even trickier. Any questions you guys ask, just make sure they're on point, and I'm glad to do it. What is it? And be loud. Stand up and be loud.
Yeah, so I hear you talking about relationships a lot recently.
See, look how slow you're talking. Speed it up.
Okay.
Okay, sit down.
Yeah,
You have 10 seconds. Go.
Okay, can relationships work, marriage work in the 20...
Look, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I'm literally explaining this. And look, I love you, so this is the only real feedback you're going to get this whole month. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. Okay? This is the dumbest shit I've heard in my fucking life. Literally, I'm explaining this, and then you're like, Tyler, I have question. Can marriage work? And now my friend Joanna's pussy's drying up. Do you understand? Joanna's like, oh God, like, oh shit, okay? Because you're spaced out. And then you're gonna say it's because you're not good looking enough. But I promise you, she's probably dated guys that look dorkier than you. But the point is that, she wouldn't admit it, but she probably has. But the point is that because you're spaced out, you're scaring her, okay? And, okay, so the thing is, that's what I'm getting at. So you added a lot of value to the seminar because you showed exactly what I'm talking about. You're completely spaced out, you're totally in your own little world, and you're like, now it's time for my question. Like, fuck all these 100 people that came here to learn. I have a question. Can marriage work in modern life? It's like, we're talking about this, bro, okay? And I know it's not like I'm being a dick, but wake the fuck up. And by the way, when I'm on the street, okay, you know, here's what's funny. I'm kind of like the two sides of a pendulum. You see me in a seminar room, I am the biggest dickhead you've ever I'm like, you're fucking stupid, you're a fucking derper, I would never let you lead me. Now you see me out in public, it's the opposite, okay? It's like, I even talk like I'm talking to a baby. I'll say, hi there, how's it going? Oh, that's so cool, hi. I'm like, how's your day? They're like, I'm gonna smoke some weed tonight. I'm like, what strain? Is it a sativa? That's gonna be a lot of fun, yeah. Oh, look, eat those Cheetos, yes. Oh, yes, 7-Eleven is a great job. Woohoo, right? Because they didn't ask. I'm assuming that if you're here, you want to know the truth, okay? So what's happening is, and I'm going to break this whole thing down. So notice the kind of spaced out question, and then think back to whatever spaced out question that you had, because your brain is like, wait a minute, this not TikTok no worky guy been talking for this amount of time. I thought I could flip to the next dopamine spike because my brain's been rewired by the Chinese Communist Party. Right? Go look at Chinese TikTok sometimes. See the difference when they show their kids, okay? Not that I believe in collectivism, but the point is that Chinese TikTok is like engineering, science, violin. They even slow it down so that you can't get a dopamine spike off it. I'm not suggesting that we need to moderate our internet, but what we need to do is learn how to rise above it to where we wouldn't have to. Now, in effect, what's happening with the women is that the guys are spaced out because the guys have failed the collective shit test. Y'all, okay, so here's basically how it works, okay? So for guys like Chris Williamson or Professor Galloway that talk about this, here's the thing, okay? They can't talk as blunt as I am willing to talk. They probably know this. They may or may not. To be honest, I don't know what they think in life. But I have done split test experiments in this area for 2 decades. I've spent about half my adult life doing split test experiments on this. So I know this stuff cold like you don't even want to know. So let me try to show you what's going on, okay? So guys like Chris Williamson or Scott Galloway, they're trying to table these issues of like, yo, our guys are falling behind. Which means that it sucks for the women because it basically means that women are now in harems, okay? By the way, women are getting laid. They're just getting laid off apps like Bumble with guys that won't commit in a harem. That's all that it is, okay? That's 100% what's happening. Speaking of which, by the way, you guys remember how I said no one can afford to live here in LA? Well, how do all these gorgeous women live in LA in most cases? They are on sugardaddy.com, seekingarrangements.com. I remember in 2015, I was with a girl I was seeing, and this was kind of new, right? And I remember we were lying in bed together, and I never go in girls' phones because, to be honest, I'm so black-pilled that I just don't want to know. Okay, I'm just like, I just don't even want to know what's in there. I'm good. So, okay, it's kind of like how you don't want to go back into the back of the kitchen at the restaurant. Like, just give me the food, okay? Just give me the food. So the thing is, like, I never will go to a girl's phone because I just don't want to know. And so I remember she's asleep, you know, after we'd had sex, and her music's playing. I go, baby, can you turn your music off? Here, please turn your music off. She goes, you turn it off. You turn it off, right? I'm like, I'm good. You turn it off, right? She goes, no, you turn it off. I go, fine. So as I go to turn it off, I see this thing like, you know, some guy's name with some message, and it says SA beside it. And I think to myself, I roll through my brain, I go, fuck, is that seeking fucking arrangements? Like, did I just unwittingly have sex with a hooker? Oh, shit, because in my mind, seeking arrangements or sugar baby is like a hooker. That's how I thought of it, right? Because it used to be. Well, as it turns out, luckily, again, I strap up. But as it turns out, I talk to her, I wake her up, I go, yo, are you a hooker? Like, this is not cool. Like, what the fuck? She's like, because it's 2015, right? She's like, every single one of my friends is on this. They're all fucking using it. And I started, now I've got a lot of great female friends. So I started asking my female friends around LA. They're almost all on seeking arrangement, sugar daddy, like almost every girl I know. It's crazy. Why is that? Because if you live in LA and your rent is $5,000 a month, how are you gonna even pay for that? So what winds up happening is they have a beta male. And by the way, you think that being rich makes you an alpha male? You're wrong. All that being rich means that you're what's called the king of the betas. Most alpha males are actually not rich. That is a lie that some people will tell you, okay? The richest guys in the world are not dating supermodels, okay? The guys that you see dating supermodels are like mostly fuckboys, okay? Like idiotic fuckboys that cheat on them, like Travis Scott, okay? Guys like Travis Scott will outperform Bill Gates any day of the week. Do you understand? Well, now you understand, okay? Why is Travis Scott probably the biggest pimp in the world? Because he's the biggest idiot in the world, okay? So he just does a little dance, makes a bunch of sound effects, doesn't talk too logically, which you know is amazing, okay? All the logic stuff is just kills your swag. Now, going from there, basically what's happening is this. So right now, in effect, here's kind of the breakdown. Women don't prefer to be in harems. They would prefer to have one main guy, most women. But they would rather be sharing a guy than dating one of you. That'd be the best way that I put it. That is a better option, okay? That is a superior option than dating the average guy. Now, the reason why is not because of your looks, it's not because of your money. It is primarily and predominantly because you are spaced out. You're just too spaced out. That is the main reason why they're uncomfortable. They feel like your kids will be spaced out. They feel like you're not gonna be able to handle things. And then what happens is they become irate and they become uncomfortable, so they start doing what's called shit testing. So they start throwing fits, and they start accusing you of shit and all that kind of stuff. And then what winds up happening is you react to it too much, which then shows that you're too reactive, okay? And then they break up with you. So that's called shit testing. So a lot of what you've seen is a giant collective shit test. It's just a giant collective shit test. Now, the next way that I would explain it to you is this. So how many of you in this room have ever been what's called in state, and you go out to a bar club and you're in state, and you're super, super, super in the zone, and then what winds up happening is every girl that you talk to is in love with you. Okay, it's like the whole club's in love with you, basically. You ever had that? Put your hands up if you had that experience. Okay, so you'll notice that when you get in that zone, pretty much you walk around, like when you're, okay, because here's the big missing piece that, like, you know, a lot of the Chris Williamsons or Scott Galways, they're just not seeing it, okay? Here's what they need to do. They need to call me or someone like me. That's the first order. If they're gonna do all these podcasts, they need to call, it doesn't have to be me, because there's plenty of other guys that know what I know, but call someone like me. Go out with someone like me to a bar or a club. Watch that person like me walk around the whole venue and watch what happens. And you're gonna see the most insane things that you've ever seen in your life. It's gonna blow your mind, it's gonna shock you, it's gonna completely invert everything that you thought was possible, it's gonna completely change your reality. Then what's gonna happen, now, by the way, celebrities can do the same thing. They may know celebrities. Somebody like me who's not a celebrity, they need to watch someone like me go do it, who looks normal, not celebrity, just go out and do it, and they need to see what happens. And the epiphany that you'll get is that when a man is in state, he will be magnetic. That's just how it works. And as a result of that, because he is magnetic, That creates attraction. When you are in that magnetic state, you have access to the full realm of your brain, and you're not in a derp state. So see, what you did there when you went, hey, hello, okay, let me get on my phone. Okay, can marriage work in the modern day? You know, right? It's like that should be happening when you have Alzheimer's. You know, you're like Joe Biden, right? But the thing is that, but that's happening in your brain because what's happening is your consciousness is being suppressed. So in other words, have you ever had it when you went to a bar club and you had the opposite happen when you got rejected 5 or 10 times in a row and then your state shut down, you completely shut down, you couldn't think of what to say, you couldn't think, you're in a cloud, and so on and so forth. You ever had that happen? Okay, well if you've ever had that, and this is why again I say, like when you asked your question earlier, like, you know, like is it in your best enlightenment to like not go socialize? This is the kind of thing that socializing will teach you. So what happens is you go out and you'll watch your state crash. You can't think of what to say. I could ask you when you're in that mode, I could ask you, what's your brother's birthday? And it will take you 15 seconds to remember. You'll be like, oh shit, fuck, don't tell him. I got it, right? Because your brain is shutting down. So in other words, what's happening is your brain is shutting down, and you can see that clearly when you go to a bar club and you get rejected a bunch of times, or when you have success a bunch of times. And you can see it from both sides, okay? So now what happens when you go out to bars and clubs, you socialize, parties, day venues where you can socialize, you can actually see what's happening in your brain. You can see the effects that it's having on you. You can tangibly say, oh, that's when my brain does this, and then this is when my brain does this. Because when you haven't had that experience, it's too subtle. It's kind of like this refrigerator hum. So watch, go very, let me show you the power of like a refrigerator hum type noise that you're not noticing. Watch this, okay? Let me go quiet. We'll all go quiet. Now listen. Now I don't know if my mic is picking that up or not, but how fucking noisy is that in retrospect? That's fucking noisy, right? Yeah. But you've been ignoring it the whole time while I'm talking, okay? Good thing we're gonna do the seminar at the mansion tomorrow, because otherwise you can't unhear this shit. It's gonna keep annoying you. But if we were here for 3 days, I wouldn't have said this shit. So, okay, but we're only here a little bit longer. So the point is that you have other things like that are happening. Like you have trauma running like that you're not noticing. Thought it went away for a second. Anyway, okay, just meet me at the mansion tomorrow. Good night. Okay, so it's trauma that you're not noticing, and it's derping that you're not noticing. Okay, it's this. Say the word ambient derping, or ambient trauma. Okay, so you have this sort of ambient derping, or you have this ambient trauma, and what starts happening is that because you're in this ambient derp state, the women can tell you've probably been rejected a bunch of times. That's sort of what they're getting off of it. But they can also just tell that you're too spaced out, and as a result, they get turned off. Now, let's go a little bit deeper and see what's happening here. So there's a couple different moving pieces, and I'm not suggesting to make some weird law to like outlaw this. I'm not trying to shame anybody. I'm not trying to make any prescriptive suggestions or anything like that. I'm just trying to show you what's going on, so that we can at least start a conversation, okay? So right off the bat, look, I'm not a fan of slut shaming at all. I don't think women should be shamed for having sex, but I do want to, and by the way, women have been having sex since, forever, okay? Like, that's just been happening, okay? So clearly, look at all the humans here, right? So that's been happening. So, but the thing is that before it was kind of hidden a little bit, right? Like, you know, if a girl's kind of running around getting with all these guys, she kind of had to hide a little bit. Whereas now it's more like empowering, okay? And again, I'm not saying anything prescriptive. I'm just pointing out the social change that we're having. I'm not saying that we need to change anything. I'm just giving analysis here, okay? I'm just giving analysis here, okay? I'm not saying the solution, because I don't have the solution. But nowadays, let's say that a girl, it's empowering to go have sex, right? Now, it's also combine that with more women getting into college than men, and more women getting the better jobs than men. And if you combine no shame around casual sex, including with just the alpha male that they actually want, and then when you combine that with better jobs and better college, well, so you have that, right? But then combine that, so there's a fourth element too, which is the social conditioning, right? So what's the most conditioning around men? Like, what are my young sons going to be hearing about themselves as young boys? What are they going to be hearing? Like Dylan, Tristan, Vincent, what do they hear about themselves as young boys?
Positive They need to be strong. They need to be quiet and like.
Well, what's the main word? What's the main word that we attribute to men in the 2020s? The word is toxic, right? They're bad. They did all this bad stuff. They've done bad stuff. They did all this bad stuff, and they are bad, right? Now, my kids are not going to have a problem with that because they have me, okay? But so the thing is, imagine the fact that I have to coach my kids to say, don't listen to your teachers. Okay, we live in California, right? So don't listen to your teachers, okay? Ignore your teachers. Ignore what you see in the media. Don't trust the news. Don't trust the media. Don't trust your teachers. Now, they've got daddy telling them that. So they're going to be fine, okay? But some people are growing up without even a father. And some people are not growing up with those kind of influences. So now, let's look at the factors. Normalization of casual sex, women making more money than guys, women getting more college degrees than guys, and then the general social conditioning, and so on and so forth. So when you mix that up, you have the vast majority of the male population that is a derper. They're just spaced out. Then add to that, here's what happens. When you have the one guy who's having sex with an average harem for a guy that's just getting laid a lot is about 20 to 50 girls. That would be on average. Like if you just started going out and you just started socializing and you got your confidence, that would be average. So now if you have that one guy, and what's happening is he's in an upward spiral because he's getting validation, and maybe one girl validates him, another girl validates him, another girl validates him, more girls validate him. So now he's in freaking state, right? How much in state would you be if you just had women crawling all over you? Your brain would be like, bing, it's on, okay? So what happens is, because you're being validated, okay? You're also becoming an addict to validation, which is not great because if they pull it away, you're screwed. But because you don't know how to self-generate it, which I could teach you. But the point being is that you're getting validated. So now you have like one guy out of 50 who's being overly validated. He's basically eating the validation that all those other 49 guys would have got. Now again, I could teach you to self-generate it. You shouldn't need that. But the average person is not in a self-help course. Like, yeah, it's great that we got a nice big healthy room here. This is awesome. But look out the window, okay? This is like not even 1% of Los Angeles. It's not even it's like a 0.00 whatever percent, right? So what's happening is the vast majority of guys don't understand how to self-generate validation. They don't understand how to self-generate winner effect. They don't know how to turn their brain on. And they're in an environment that's shutting off their brain. And then what's happening is from a woman's perspective, when 99% of men that they're meeting are derpers, what is going to be their impression of men if most men are derpers? What's their impression of men? Disgusting, sickening, creepy, weird, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? You see the cycle here? I'm not offering prescription, guys. I'm just trying to show you what's happening, okay? So then, and by the way, I predicted all this over a decade ago. I was talking that we knew that this was going to happen. And we knew that with Instagram it was going to happen because now, if you're a guy like Drake, you can have your staff DM every single hot girl. So it's on scale now, okay? Look, let me give you a simple example of what social media did. There used to be all these different social skills companies back in the day when the Neil book came out, right? Then YouTube came out and they all went away. And there was only one group left, me. Do you guys remember that? Okay, I was like the only deal in town. Okay, so from 2002 to 2008, there was all these different companies. And then one day I was at my buddy's house, and we're looking at, and he shows me this thing called YouTube. And I say, let me see it. And I watch it, and I see the epic squirrel and the Star Wars kid and all this stuff. And I went, I'm already a multimillionaire because I now have access. I now have my own media company because they built it for me. And all that I have to do is just create the media for my own damn media company. I knew I was instantly a millionaire. I almost started crying. I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna be rich. And then, yeah, immediately, by the way, it took me about half an hour to realize the potential. And then from there, we were doing, you remember I said I made my first $2 million from Blueprint Decoded and reinvest that back in the business? Yeah. I called my team. My team is like, dude, Owen, just keep putting out DVD sets. I'll make $2 million here, make $2 million there. I go, no more DVD sets. I am not releasing we will release every piece of content that we have for free. I'm going to create this thing called the free tour. At the free tour, I'm going to learn to do free associative rants so that I can learn to just spin and create content out of nowhere so that I can become like Lil Wayne, okay? So do you guys remember, this is back in the late 2000s, right? Where it was like Lil Wayne was the hottest shit in town. So you remember the best rapper before Lil Wayne was Eminem. And Eminem would write his album for several years and then release it. But then Lil Wayne came out, and what Lil Wayne did was he would take a bunch of codeine and he would just free associate and make his raps, and he'd be a guest on everybody's albums. Any of you guys remember this? Yeah. So Wayne blew up as the most popular rapper because he did all these guest appearances. He was kind of like a disruptive force where he wouldn't write anything down. He'd just get super high in codeine, and then he would just free associate to be on everybody's album. And he was like a solid 8.5 out of 10 relative to Eminem's 10. So I said to myself, wait a minute, if it takes 2 years to make a 10, but you can make ongoing 8.5s forever, then what I should do is make a free tour. I should go around working on my free associative skills, and then I should just keep cranking out 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5. Now here's the hilarious part. As great as Blueprint Decoded is, and it's definitely a seminal work and all that, it's pioneering work, at the same time, my average free event now is 20 times better than Blueprint Decoded. Why is that? Because I practiced. So ironically, there's actually a experiment they do with this. Do you guys know the photograph experiment related to this? So the professor tells 2 groups of kids, you take a whole semester to take the perfect photo, and then you guys just take as many photos as you can, and the ones that take as many photos as they can wind up getting the perfect photos. Because if you just keep trying, you'll kind of, you'll strike pay dirt once in a while, okay? Seth Godin talks about this in his work. He says just ship it, read Seth Godin, he's awesome, and so on and so forth, okay? So anyway, so I realized that. Now, why did I basically, in effect, bankrupt every other company? Because of scale. Social media provided scale. I was laughed at and derided by the other companies. They're like, Owen's an idiot. He's just releasing all his products on YouTube. What a moron. And I did have to grit my teeth and make less money for a long time. I made less money than them for a long time while I did that. But I knew the inevitability of it, right? There's just a certain inevitability. You can see the trajectory. I knew 2020 would eventually happen. You could see the trajectory. If people are more and more derpers, 2020 had it to happen. Because there's a trajectory, there's a momentum, it has to happen. Just look at the unfolding, see the trajectory, and it'll happen. So anyway, so look, it's depressing, but anyway, look. So then what you have is, because I'm just thinking about our current trajectory, but anyway. So then basically what you have is, with social media, a high-level guy is in the DMs of all these girls, okay? Like, go out, ask all the girls how many of them are DMing with Tyga. Ask them that. How many of you got a direct message from Tyga? And it's like half of every nightclub. Did Tyga personally DM them?
No, I don't know.
What happened? He has probably someone from a third world country just, he pays $1 an hour just pumping it in, right? It's like, this is awesome, okay? So what's going on is that they're at scale, okay? And okay, probably a couple of my female friends in here are like, I wasn't talking to Tyga, damn it, right? And so what's happening, I'm just kidding. So what's happening is, I know because I have friends that are celebrities that do this. So what's happening is, they all think that they're talking to some world famous celebrity, so they're not gonna take an average guy. Then add to the fact that the average guy is weirder, more spaced out, more creepy than ever. Now here's the other part that I didn't even go to, and this is the really bad part. When that winner effect, when that brain neurochemistry shuts down far enough, and that guy is completely shut down, that's where you see the really weird stuff. And I can tell you, because I've dated a lot of hot women, you see some really weird, creepy stuff. Because I will be dating a beautiful woman, and we'll go out to the club, and guys will literally just grab at them in the most disgusting fucking places. And you see this, and like, I've gone up to some of these guys and go like, I just want to know what you got out of that. Like, what do you, like, let's just scratch the fact that you just did that. Help me to even understand what you got out of that. Because I don't think you can feel much through someone's genes. You know what I'm saying, right? Like if you just go, like that, like I don't think you can feel anything. So I know that you didn't get any pleasure out of that. So you're literally risking getting yourself in trouble. You're making someone else upset. What do you get out of that? And here's what I think they get. I think that when a guy gets so creeped out, that he's so rejected and beaten down and creeped out and just like absolutely has no hope and demoralized, and his winner effect just completely shuts down, I think those guys are fucking dangerous. That is what I honestly fucking think. I think that they are dangerous. And so now what you have is you're now creating a world where you've got a bunch of these dudes, because they're now getting energy from creeping people out. Like that's their version of a good night. And you've got, and that's what's out there, which then further reinforce, and every girl, like, have you ever had guys just do super creepy shit on you?
Yeah.
Like how creepy?
Like super creepy.
Yeah, like is what I'm, like I've never even asked her.
Like weird stuff, like even like doing weird dances, trying to take the shirt off, or even trying to grab me, pull me away, stuff like that.
All this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of ongoing for you and your friends?
Well, not anymore, but
Sure. Okay, but was at one point?
yeah, a little bit.
Okay, got it. Because you don't go out as much now, or what happened?
No, it's just, I don't know, it's just my energy gonna change.
Your energy changed. Okay, well that's good. Okay, so the point being is that she experienced that for many years. She's had a shift in energy, but you see where I'm getting at with this, okay? What it actually might be is that even those guys gave up. Could even be that. But what I'm getting at here is this is the phenomenon that you're seeing, and what the whole like marriage thing did back in the day where it was like culturally normal that one guy would get married to one girl, is it prevented that shit. Okay? It prevented that shit. So it was preventing this whole fucking dynamic. But Mother Nature finds a way, and you know, the way that we were back in nature, for being honest, if you look at every single mammal species, you usually had like, you know, the one mammal, and then he had the group of the females, right? And so nature finds a way, so we kind of found a way back to that. And a lot of these shifts that you've seen in recent years was nature finding a way to go back to the default, basically, of how it was. But now what you're gonna see is more young men being raised without fathers is gonna be it's gonna become the norm. How many of you guys in this room were raised in single parent households, by the way? Put your hand up if that's this room. Okay, well that's already there. And that's gonna go up more and more and more, okay? Now, let's then circle back to the business and money part. So now you've got a guy in a derp state. The guy's in a freaking derp state. And then, you know, I'll come up here, and this is like kind of where this came about for me, right? So I'll come up here, and look, over the course of this weekend, I will give you piles of instructions on social skills, on business, spiritual growth. I mean, this is gonna be an amazing weekend, guys. It's really good. You have no idea how great this is gonna be. It's gonna be so awesome, right? And I'll show you all this stuff. But I'll tell you where, like, I hit a bit of a breaking point for myself, and here's what it was, okay? I had a breaking point with this. So I spent my whole adult life making the best content that I can, my goal being to leave behind a legacy after I'm dead, so that, you know, because I studied this for years and years and years, other people could see it and they could curate it, or, you know, there could be, like, you could make AIs out of my personality or do whatever the fucking weird shit they're gonna do when I'm dead, okay? So, right, they'll do it to you all too and stuff like that. It's just gonna be AI everywhere. So pretty much what you have is like, that's sort of what I was building, right? But what I began to realize over time was the only people that I actually saw that were getting results for my paid clients, and that's because they actually invested. But for the vast majority of people that I saw, I show them things, they're not listening. So for example, like, and I keep bringing it, you're like, man, this is not my day today, but I'm sure you seem to be taking it well. He's taking this amazing. Give him a hand for taking the browbeating of the millennium. So, but when I would see, like, say that we're talking, right, and I'm talking about it, and then you get up and you're like a couple steps behind. Well, the funny thing is, you guys have watched me do vocal training videos for years, right? And I'll bring people up to the front, and I'll go, hey, and then I'll say, now it's your turn to go, hey, and we'll do this whole little song and dance that we do, right? That's our little song and dance that we do around here, and we do it all the time, right? So we go do that. And what I found was, like, Jeff would always, you guys know my buddy Jeff, right? We work together. So Jeff, he would always see me do this every single seminar where I bring people up to the front. And he's like, Owen, are we really gonna do this again? We have so many videos about this. Why are we doing this again? I go, Jeff, watch. And you bring people up, and it doesn't matter that you've seen 20 freaking videos about it, and every video looks the same. I walk up, I go, hey, and then the person walks up, and then they go, hey. And then I go, no, do hey. Okay, I'm on warm up here. It's the first speech of a big weekend. And then they go, right? They do that, right? And I'm like, yo, you know that you're that guy. You know that you've seen this. Like, I know that you know that you're that guy right now. So if you've watched 30 to 40 videos of this and how this plays out, how did you walk up here and do the thing that you saw 30 or 40 times? Like, how did that happen? Human beings are meant to learn from the experience of other human beings. We're learning machines. So how did that happen? And what I began to realize was, wait a minute, if I'm making long 3-hour videos loaded with instructions, and they can't even get down, they're not even getting that, then what does that say about the state of the world? And what does that even say about there even being any point to me making this content? And then I start to realize, wait a minute, I'm 45. When I was a kid, I would read books like Ulysses by James Joyce. Who here's read Ulysses by James Joyce? Yeah, only rated as the top book of all time, but okay. Maybe Atlas Shrugged. Anyone here read Atlas Shrugged? That's it? You know what I'm saying, right? So when I was young, what you did was you pick these big brick books, and then you force yourself to read them, and you'd feel yourself saying, I kind of want to take a nap. You go, no, Owen, don't take a nap. Build your concentration. Get it done, and it would force you to get it done. You know, you say, okay, like, this book is hard. I don't understand what's being said. There's many interpretations. So then, look, you guys will laugh at this. Before the internet, I had something called a library, okay? And what I would do is I would go to the Ottawa U campus library. I would sneak in, okay? This is my version of being bad, is I would sneak in. I would literally do something very, very bad and I would sneak in the library, and I would pull piles of interpretive texts to understand the book I'm reading. And then I'd sit there until way late at night, until they shut down the library around midnight, reading interpretive text, maybe to understand the significance of a single paragraph, going through the text, okay? Now, this is not that weird. It's just weird now. That's what people did back then. I know this is my version of a when I was a boy speech. When I was a boy, I snuck into the library, and then I read all the interpretive texts. I can't even believe you just watched the talk tick. Okay, I understand I sound like that. So anyway, cycle of life. So now it's my turn to do that. But in effect, what that taught you was you're reading a very, very dense book. You'd have to hold that idea in your head. You'd read the paragraph, you hold the idea in your head, and you're tired, you don't want to think about it, and then you're reading contradictory, different interpretations of that paragraph, and you're getting a broad range of ideas on it. And then once you've done that, then you kind of understand it. Maybe you write an essay out of it, and then you discuss the essay. And it was all this giant exercise in non-dopamine and extended focus. And that's just what you did. Then if you add to that things like meditation, or things like building a business, or things like, look, when I was a kid, I had a paper route. Okay, so when I was a kid, I would have a room, literally the size of this room, by the way, the penny saver. You'd have about 400 newspapers, and you'd lay them all. This is what I was doing from the time I was 9. And you would lay them all out. So you're a 9-year-old kid, you lay out all the different newspapers, you lay them all out, then you have these things called inserts, you've got about 15 to 20 of them, call it 17, and they're slippery, and you take one insert and you go boom, boom, and you would just do that, you go and put in all the inserts, and then you would do that to this whole room. That's just one insert, okay, an average insert putting together, because they send you the main paper, and then they send you the inserts on the side, and they make the kid do it, okay, it's like child labor. So you go do all that. Okay, it takes you about 3 days in all your spare time, and then on the weekend you crawl through the snow, and then you go deliver these big, thick newspapers filled with inserts. You shove it in, and you crawl through the snow and you do it. And then on the weekend, you also go do collecting. So you go to each person, you walk up to them, and then you try to get them to give you a tip. So back then, you might get a nickel, you might get a dime, but you're trying to get a quarter. In Canada, we call it a loonie. That's $1, okay, before the toonie. Don't ask. And then basically, do they still have the toonie and the loony? Okay, all right. So then what happens is, if you get a loony, well, how do you get that? You got to charm and get a little swag going as your 9-year-old swagger with the person that you're doing your collection from. So you're like, hi there, I hope you enjoyed your paper. Did you like it? And you try to kind of swag them in to give you a loony, and then you make more money like that. And I was doing this for years, right? And then I eventually got a better newspaper. I was called the Ottawa Citizen, and then that was only like 30 or 40 papers. They were these big, thick papers, and you did it more often. You did it every single day, and you got paid a little bit more, right? And it was super, super, super boring. But you understood that you had to stay present to the moment through that. And if you could stay present to the moment through that, that is a spiritual practice. It makes you more alert and more awake. So then, if you build on that, then what happens? You start extending your attention span. Maybe you go to college, maybe you don't, doesn't matter. But you do things that extend your attention span. And then you start building little businesses. You take risks in those businesses. Some ventures fail. Some ventures succeed. Some make you money. Some lose you money. You try out different things at a slower scale. Ideally, when you don't have kids, like you guys have no idea what it's like having 3 hungry mouths to feed. You don't have staff and payroll. You don't have expectations. You don't have a reputation that you could lose. You're just in your 20s. It's like wide open water. You can take a risk. You can fail. It doesn't even matter. You go back and live at your parents' house. I know that sounds bad. That's not bad like having kids bad. You can take risks when you're younger. So you go do all of that, and then you build up your skill sets, and then you go make your first couple $100,000. And then you take some of that money, you flip it, and then you make your first couple mil. And then you take that money, you flip it, you make 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 mil. Then at that point, you can either keep going or do what I did and just not work for 5 years, which is pretty much what I did. I just stopped working, and I just go to national parks and I ski until I broke my leg, and then now I'm here. So that is sort of the way that life is meant to play out. And through that process, what's supposed to happen is you date different people. They mess with you and give you shit tests and heartbreak you, and you go through all these heartbreaks and stuff, and you get tougher through that. You start to recognize what shit tests are, and then you learn to stabilize your state via horrible breakups and, people that you loved and would have probably died for, and that cheat on you because you, didn't maintain frame, and you're like, I would have died for you. You just left me because I didn't hold frame? I would have died. You're like, that's kind of weird. That's not fair. I would have died, and I just didn't hold frame, and you left, but it's like, bye, right? And then when they leave, they're like, no, but you did this. And they have a reason because they don't know what frame is. And then, so you go through that a bunch of times, and then you're looking for your mother's love. Then you realize that you already had a mom. You don't need another one. You already had one. She's saving that mother's love for her kids. So you go through, okay? So stop being a bitch about it. So then you go through that process. Then you learn to pass shit tests. You learn to go into different environments like social circles and into different clubs and parties. You learn to hold your states. You learn to maintain states. You learn that all these things that you're told is a fucking lie, and that actually half of the lie is that they want to test to see that if you're smart enough to see through the lie. So by the way, a lot of things that you're being told by someone who you're looking to attract are lies, but they're doing that to see that you're smart enough to know that it's a lie, right? So it's like, no, like I just want to be like courted and da-da-da, but then you look at like the last 5 guys, and none of those guys courted them, but somehow you're supposed to, you're being lied to. Yeah, then if you took the lie, then that means that you're dumb, and that means you don't reproduce, right? So the thing is like, and you can court after, but not before. So what happens is this: you're meant to be able to see through the lies, right? And so even just taking a bad job, or you just like believing in 2020 or any of those things, is you failing a collective shit test. You are failing a collective shit test, right? How can they look to men for leadership when collectively we saw what happened in 2020? These are collective shit tests. So what's going on is the women are getting more and more turned off. They're getting disgusted. The men are getting progressively creepier and creepier and creepier. Then you're getting more single parent households. Women are also having kids later, which is not necessarily as healthy in some cases. And there's this whole entire pattern that is going on, okay? Now, what a lot of guys do is they think that that problem is going to get solved at the level of complaining about it or at the level of grievance, right? Okay, in other words, using grievance politics. I don't think that you solve that at the level of grievance, okay? A bunch of derpers complaining like, you have to have sex with me, give me validation. Like, that's fucking disgusting. It's not going to happen. They're not going to do it. It goes against nature. It's not going to happen, okay? It's just not. I'm sorry. You're never going to win that way. It's not in the cards. Now, I mean, I suppose there's a million different things in life that can happen. Anything could happen. I could be wrong, but it's not in the immediate cards. So where it fundamentally starts with you, okay? Or if you're at home watching this video, which of course most people can't even make it this far into the video, which is crazy, right? By the way, before I get to my prescriptive points, because I can't give a societal prescriptive, but I can give an individual prescription. What I also want to say is it really, really freaked me out when I began to realize that society was getting so spaced out. That started to freak me out a lot because I started to realize that, wait a minute, I'm just screaming to an empty room at this point. That really, really, really started to scare me. Or I'm like, wait a minute, like, I already gave these guys instructions how to get rich. Why are they not rich yet? Like me, I got the instructions how to get rich and I just went and did it. It was very simple. Like, here's how to get rich. Just do the thing. Just do the thing, right? Like my mentor Mystery, he's like, here's how you work socially. And then I just did it. I was his top student. I just went and did it. Not because I'm so smart. I was probably one of the more dumb and spaced out students in the room. I just had execution. I wasn't arrogant enough to think that I could break the rules. My mentor told me the rules. I didn't think that I could break the rules, and after half a decade of doing it, then I started to break the rules and have my own rules. But I originally went to a mentor and just did what he told me. Like, why is this that complicated? I don't understand. But for some people, it's just incredibly complicated. I don't know. It's just so damn complicated. They call it the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's for people that are dumb, think they're smart. Like, yeah, my mentor told me this, but I'm so smart. I'm smart. I'll walk my own path. All true knowledge comes from within because I'm this super narcissistic, like gifted dynamo and all this stuff, right? Yes, there's powerful elements of intuition and knowledge and so on and so forth, but you also have to learn from outside of yourself, right? I spent most of my life reading books. You know, I just came back from Tai Lopez's crib. Like, what is Tai Lopez called? Knowledge, right? Knowledge. Okay. Yeah, let me tell you another thing too. It also gets scary when you're making hires. And I'm making hires on a regular basis, and I'm looking at you in the eye, and I'm looking to see if you can hold eye contact. And what you'll see is it's super, super, super funny, right? If you just hold eye contact, you'll watch, they can't hold eye contact. And it's not because they're scared of you, because they're distracted. They don't have the attention span. They're like, they're scanning for dopamine. Like, where's the dopamine? Where's the dopamine? They're scanning for it. They can't get it, right? So it's a mess. And what you have in effect is a world that is highly compliant and great consumers and asleep. Compliant, asleep consumers. Now the sad part is, this would almost be a good system if the elites at the top of it were super happy. Like, at least if you could just find one guy out of a million who's like, this is great, I love poisoning the world because my life is awesome. But they're even more miserable and apt to suicide. Most of the elites, a bunch of their kids are on drugs, they do all these crazy surgeries, they commit suicide. It's just pure satanic. There's nothing positive coming out of it. In that whole loop, nothing good is coming out of it. So you've got to say no to that system. Repeat after me. Just say the word no. No. Louder. No. Louder. No. Okay, good. I like that. Okay, just say no to that whole system. Like, just say no to it. Like, no, I'm not participating in this dynamic. I'm resisting this dynamic. This is not okay. drugs are bad, okay, all that shit. Just don't do it, okay? I'm telling you, don't do it. So, yeah, there's much greater things to life. Look, you might think like getting high is fun. You know what I think is fun? Not working for 5 years while I just go to every national park with my kids, ski every major ski resort, buy literally whatever I want, date, all sorts of amazing people, live in giant houses, and, like that's fun. Not just like medicating your freaking brain fucking sucks, okay? You want to do the equivalent of a psychedelic? You can have your psychedelic journey. It's called go to the Nepali coast, or go to Alaska, or go to Denali, and it will look as psychedelic as you've ever seen in your fucking life. So just always remember, anything that is eroding your brain power in any way, shape, or form, just be very, very, very wary of that, okay? Now, okay, and by the way, you can have these things. Like, you can achieve these things. In fact, I hate to say it, look, here's the sad part. You want to hear the sad part of the whole thing as far as your money game? I'm not happy about this, by the way. I'm sad about this, but let me just point it out to you. If you can't get super rich right now, you are the dumbest motherfucker ever born. Because you're literally playing an environment. Let me point out to you this environment. You're playing an environment with a dumbed down, compliant consumer culture population, okay? So you couldn't get rich in that? That's fucked up. And then in addition, you have the phone spying on everybody, gathering all their data to create list building. So you could literally, like back in the day, you'd have to have a brick and mortar company. Like you'd have to either rent out or purchase some brick factory or some brick fucking storage space, and then do everything through the mail, have all these goods stocked up and things like that. I mean, it was way harder to make money back then. People also had a spine and didn't just buy as much shit as they don't need as they do now. Now, everybody's being spied on their phone for their niche ideas. You could just make some niche little company of any kind, spread it out there to people via their phone, and create content for it, build lists out of it, and know the fact that they're so spaced out they don't know what fucking planet they're on, and they'll buy whatever you put in front of their face. And you still couldn't get money? In that? But paradoxically, while it is easier to be successful than it ever has been, it's also harder than it's ever been because of the dynamic that we just covered, because of the social conditioning, because that is the autopilot that you're stuck in, okay? So, look, when you guys see, let me just point out a couple things about me or what you'll see with other instructors, okay? And I'm by far the most flawed person you ever see. I'm not trying to paint myself in some favorable light. But do you guys notice how I gain energy from working? Anybody here notice that? Yes. What does that mean if you're one of my competitors, if you get tired from working and I gain energy from working?
Scary.
Okay, now, do you guys will see how I'm able to just free associate speeches off the dome like this? So if you're my competitor, what does that mean about your creativity versus my creativity? Okay, so where is this all coming from? Why did I not get sick for 13 years? Well, that we can't give medical advice. But the point is, think about this for a minute, okay? What is going on? Why didn't I get in pain when I got injured? What is going on? Okay, what's going on, guys? Come on, think about it. I just said no to that dynamic we talked about. That's it. That's all it is. I just said no. Just say no. That's it. Say no. Fight back. Fight back. Fight, fight, fight. Fight back. Fight, fight, fight. Do you understand? Fight back against that dynamic. That's what that means, okay? Fight back against that dynamic. So learn top to bottom the system and how the system is whacking out your fucking brain and why you can't concentrate. Because if you're not rich already, then you know you can't concentrate. Because, think about it, right? If you're not rich yet, you know it's because you can't concentrate. Unless you're doing a philanthropy or something. And then unless your philanthropy is fucking huge, it's because you can't concentrate, right? So all these problems you're having are problems of concentration. Where's that concentration problem happening? Because you're in that low winner effect, right? You're in that low winner effect. You're in that low mode, that low winner effect. Your brain, like we talked about with you saying, is can men and women get married? And that's what the whole damn speech is about. That is what I'm saying here as far as like, you're in that spaced out mode. And the problem is, everything is fucking hard in that spaced out mode. Everything is difficult in that spaced out mode. So I often joke, I say this to fuck with people, that I don't work ever, okay? It's not that I don't work ever, it's that work is so easy for me in this kind of mode that it's not really work, okay? I can come in here the next several days, I can be in front of the crowd, I can weave together seminars, I can run my business. This is not hard, okay? None of this is hard. But it's not hard because if you're walking around with a weight vest on, that's hard, okay? You know that you have more intelligence in there than you realize, right? So if you're walking around metaphorically with a weight vest on and your shoes are tied and you have a blindfold on, well then yeah, it's hard to get rich. So then what do? Do you just keep leaving the blindfold on and the weight vest on and your shoes tied? Is that what you do? What's the first thing you do?
Take it off.
Only 2 people answer. Take blindfold off? Come on, guys, what do? You
Take it off.
Yeah, okay. Look, my instinct, whenever anything with work, the first thing that I do whenever I go to work is I look at the conditions and I say, what is a constant here that we could change? So, if I'm about to, say, work with a video editor, the first thing that I do is I look at the speed of the computer, right? And at the time, the damn editor has a slow computer that's clunky. And they're sitting there and they're spending triple the amount of time because the computer's not updated. Or there's a bunch of fucking crap on the hard drive that they need to delete off and everything's fucking slow. Then I look at the environment. Is the environment clean? I'm not even a neat freak, but I do know that it's a lot easier to work when you're not in a cluttered environment. So I will immediately remove weird smells from the environment or clutter out of the environment. I'll clean it off. Like, I'm not even starting working until the room is clean, until the air is fresh, until the computer's functioning properly. And then what I do is I create the base situation to where it's relatively easy to get things done, and then I proceed to execute from that point. But most people I know are so spaced out, they don't even know what instruments they're working with, and so on and so forth. It's really fucking weird to me. So right off the bat, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna eliminate distraction, I'm eliminating things that are slowing us down, and so on and so forth. But that doesn't just stop at a computer. That continues to your mental, right? So here'd be another example, okay? All right, so let's say, look, this is a problem somebody's had in relationships, okay? So if I'm in a relationship with a girl that I really love, I just love her to death, right? And you know how it is for a man, you love a girl, you jump in front of a fucking car for her, right? But I'll be in a relationship. And then the girl just fucking bitching and moaning all the time, right? And they don't start like that. They get like that like a year and a half deep, okay? They're bitching and moaning, right? Immediately, what is my brain built to do for a woman? To protect her, to provide resources for her, to create a good environment for her, to maybe an environment to have a kid. Well, that means that my goal is to remove the weeds, to remove the disruptions, to remove the poison, to clear the castle walls of enemies, to get the inside of the castle wall safe. She manages the inside of the castle wall. Owen manages the brutes outside the castle wall. And she's never meant to know. When you came back from the metaphorical battle against all these fucking orcs, and you just went and fucking metaphorically killed everything, and she's inside that castle wall, she's never meant to know. But then she becomes the damn orc. Right? Right? And you're like, baby, I love you. You become the fucking orc, right? And what she's not understanding is like, I'm like an AI robot that is just there to remove distraction and to remove heavy energy and negativity. And all that I want is for my brain to be clear so that I can focus, so that I can get done what I need to get done, so that I can protect my friends, so that I can get raises for my staff, so that I can do free events like this, so that I can do low-cost trainings, and so that my kids can grow up properly, and so everybody can do everything. That's how my brain works. So immediately, I am removing annoying people, annoying girls, annoying computers, annoying mess, drugs are out, processed food's out. It's all out, okay? It's all out. Because the world is too harsh and competitive to be playing with all those weird ball and chains on you. You can't. You're not going to win like that. You are very, very, very arrogant thinking that you're going to build a multi-million-dollar business with a bitchy girlfriend. You're not. Or if you're a girl with a bitchy boyfriend. You're not. Or same-sex couple. You're not. They're not going to let you. It's not going to happen, okay? It's not going to occur. You're not going to smoke a bunch of weed and get super rich like Snoop, okay? Yes, he did it. You're not Snoop. It's not going to happen. So, okay, so what I'm trying to get, okay, yes, there's a few other people that did it. It's not going to be you. You'll be lucky if you did it without that, let alone with it. So you want to be removing all the impediments, all of them, all the weird bad inner game, the bad mental paradigms, the weird negative energies, all that shit's got to go. It's gone, okay? It's all gone. Get rid of it. So when you look at the fact that there's no good guys right now, or very, very few good guys right now, is it that the human species, like, like for you probably go out and you're like, man, like these guys fucking suck. It's not that humanity just produces shit guys. That's not what, like, your species, it's not all shit, by the way. What's happening is that you're in a cesspool of negative social conditioning and fucked up dynamics that are occurring that are shutting down your brain. But here's the thing. While that may piss you off, look, collectively, do we need to fix that somehow? Sure. I don't know how. I don't have the answer to that. But what I can tell you is that while a collective remedy is very tough, we're probably, decades away from that. An individual remedy, you are 10 days away from that. Okay? So you're a decade away from a collective remedy, and you're like, how do we change all this? Like, how do I change it? You personally don't need to change it. We should probably do something collectively about this. things have to change, bad, real bad. But you as an individual can fix this in 10 days. You could probably fix this by the end of the event this weekend if you actually concentrated on it, okay? So how would you go about fixing this? Well, let's bring it back. Let's kind of circle back a little bit to what it was that we talked about earlier. The mind, in effect, think of how you get when you got to a bar club and it just is awesome that night. Think about that, okay? Okay, look up Robert Sapolsky and his work on baboons. The alpha male baboons get sick way less, their immune system's working better, and their brain is working better. The beta male baboons get sick all the time, and their brains aren't working, right? So if you're winning, your brain switches on. When you're losing, your brain switches off. So that's the first thing that we need to understand in this larger dynamic. That's what we have to see. There's a larger dynamic, and that's what we have to see. Then what we have to do is you remember I talked earlier, I went a little rant about things like getting better socially or getting better in business. Remember we talked about that? Yes. Okay, so what you want to do there is you want to just fucking pick something, goddammit. Pick something, okay? Pick something. Pick a quest. Choose your quest, okay? Choose your fucking quest. Business skills, social skills. Maybe you decide that you want to travel the country in a van and you're broke while you do it and you even did it alone, but at least it's a freaking challenge and would actually be hard to do and it would challenge you and it would engage you. Maybe build a philanthropy, maybe get really good at a creative craft, but just do something that demands something of you. And then what's going to happen is as you go through this, you are going to take wins and you're going to take losses. So I need you to pick something that engages you in some capacity. Pick something where it's in the same way that if you lifted weights, the weight provides the resistance. Pick some kind of a quest that provides resistance. This is why I get annoyed at the spiritual guys that are like, never work on your dating ever. And it's like, you're just telling them not to go work on something and to pray all day and to pay you. It's a scam. It's a scam. So basically what I'm saying is because you're not Bieber. For Bieber, it's not a scam. Bieber did better getting married, okay? Yeah. Unlike his mentor, Carl, the ultimate spiritual pimp. Look up Carl Lentz. You guys will laugh your ass off. It's like this ultimate fuckboy, 8-pack abs, he's got a dick root, Joe Rogan joked about that, literally full-on fuckboy, and he's telling Justin, oh, it's bad that you have sex, it's bad, and then Justin's like, oh, okay, Carl Lentz, and then meanwhile, Carl's just out tagging half the town, and then he got in trouble. It's super, super funny. He wears the same glasses as me, okay? I copied my glasses from Bieber's fucking pastor, okay? Yeah, for real, okay? For real. I just got to copy the abs and I'm good. So, yeah. Shit's fucked up when I'm copying the pastor of fucking Bieber for swag. Okay, so how come no one saw that? You can't have that much swag. And come on, bro. Anyway. So, the second I saw this guy, I'm like, yeah, come on. But anyway, he's just fully optimized. Now, what you do is you pick some kind of a thing that gives you resistance. Could be social skills, could be a business, anything. I don't care what it is, but just fucking pick something, okay? And then as you pick something, it is going to force you to learn how to manage your state. It's going to teach you passive state control. It's going to teach you active state control. So look, here'd be a very, very simple example, okay? Let's say that you go out and you get rejected when you try to talk to somebody. Well, you can either sit there and stew on that. What'll happen is you get rejected, and then the next person that you talk to can feel that you're more spaced out, more stuck in your head, and more cortisol in your system and more stressed. So then what happens is that the next person rejects you even more. Then you feel like crap, and you probably just want to go home. But God forbid you actually had the balls to go try to talk to someone else, and they're going to reject you 20 times as hard. Then the next one's going to reject you 40 times as hard. And the next one is going to reject you 60 times as hard. And then by the end of it, here's what will happen by the end of a night. If you're just stacking up rejections like that, people will run away from you as you walk up. You'll be and you'll just see them, right? My friend is yes, I know that vibe, right? And you'll walk up and they'll go like that. They'll run away from you. And what will happen is that will take you actively to rock bottom. Now, there's two different places that you go from there. Either A, where you go with that would be, this sucks. They always say you either get bitter or better. Say bitter or better. Bitter or better. Okay, so you either become some angry incel guy, or you say, okay, well, why did I let some cuddly little cute creature demolish me like this? Okay, how come I got demolished? Right? Just some cute little cuddly little creature just destroyed my entire self-esteem. So if you have that kind of epiphany of like, wait a minute, like that's kind of like stupid, then you could say to yourself, well, how can I actively manage my state? And that could come from things like reframing. So you might say, look, every single time that I say hi to somebody, I rate that 1,000 out of 10. And then I say, well, why is that 1,000 out of 10? We say 1,000 out of 10 because if we say it's a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, you're rating it logically. So instead what you do is you rate it illogically. You say 1,000 out of 10, but why is it 1,000 out of 10? Because who the fuck would have the balls to do that? So in other words, the fact that you even have the courage to do it when most other people wouldn't, and you talk to someone, now you gave yourself some props. You actually give yourself a pat on the back. You say, yo, this is pretty cool that I actually did this. Like, I like this. I actually did this, okay? So that's, in effect, another thing that you could do that will help you a lot, okay? So you're reframing it. You're shifting your focus. You're actively controlling your focus. Now, the example that I always give, if you believe that you can't control your focus like that, no, you can, okay? And I'll tell you why. Because every single one of you guys in here is a total wanker. And every single one of you guys here is whacked off in probably the last 48 hours for sure. Now, if you took your own male hand, you took your hand, and you just started doing this, and you literally believe that you're having sex to the point that your hand of a man made you so believe that you're having sex that you spontaneously ejaculated all over your stomach, then if that just happened, then you better believe you can control your fucking state, okay? If you like to whack off, you are a state control master, okay? This is actually why women should not use vibrators in a lot of cases, by the way. You know why? It untrains them on how to control their orgasm because it's too easy, right? It's actually a skill to be able to use your hand until you fucking bust a nut. That's a real skill. Like, that's real state control. I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah, it's a little wanky time, right? That's real fucking state control. You gotta be a master of state control to whack off. Like, to actively learn how to just make yourself come just using a man's hand, like, that's not a vagina at all. That's nothing like a vagina. Maybe it's some cream, right? But that's not a vagina at all. And you're literally imagining, that you're having sex with your neighbor, and you're just like doing this, okay? And then literally you just fucking explode. I mean, you got some serious fucking state control. So how did you mentally do that in order to make yourself bust a nut? Well, you did that by looping something in your mind actively because it felt good. So in the same way, if you're being shut down when you're out and it sucks, if you say 1,000 out of 10 and you do that with the same fervor that you're wanking it, well, then you'll believe it. You'll say that was good. Why? Because I did it. Because who the fuck would have the balls to do that? You find it funny. So that is a mental muscle, okay? You're dealing with what's called a mental muscle right there. That's called state control. From that basic element of state control, watch this basic pattern. Think of it like a loop, okay? So you have belief systems. This guy wanks it good. I can just feel it. I feel it. Yeah.
Just finished.
Good shit, brother. Right back at you. I think I take a lot of herbs. Okay, so the point being is this, okay? So it's, he just has a big smile on his face. So I was like, but okay, so the thing is like, if you can literally control yourself to jerk off, you can control your state. So it goes like this. Say the words beliefs. Beliefs. So your beliefs would be things like, say, what you believe about the world. Are you a cool guy? Like, am I cool? Am I high status? And so on and so forth. Then now, do we believe what we see, or do we see what we believe? See what we believe. Okay, so our RAS finds ways to rationalize it, okay? So for example, like I was talking to Antonio Brown earlier today. I was at Ty Lopez's house, and AB was there. If you guys know that very famous football player. And I asked AB, I said, hey, this is not Ty's podcast. I said, hey, how do you manage the pain that you experience when you're, playing football, right? He's been like destroyed. And he basically just said like, oh, man, like, I got like a good chef during the summer and he get my body right. Okay. So in other words, like this guy is completely disassociated from the fact that he has been through more physical pain than this entire room combined 1,000 times over. Okay. Like you think my leg injury would be bad? This guy is getting pummeled by people that hit him like a Mack truck several times a night. So the amount of pain that he's been through is horrible, but AB, Antonio Brown, he doesn't acknowledge it. He has no acknowledgement of that pain. He doesn't even accept the premise that he's in pain in the first place. That was actually the hidden quality of AB's answer, is that he's not even aware. He's somewhat aware that he's in pain, but not as much as he should be, right? It's more like, oh, yeah, we take a lot of pain, So, you gotta get right in the summer. And I'm just like, okay, like you're like being hit by like a Mack truck, and like that's your answer? Like that's your answer is like, a gluten-free diet? that's literally what he thinks helping with pain management. But the real gem in AB's response, which was beautiful, was he doesn't even accept the premise. So if you think that you're a cool guy, it's like anything other than being a cool guy. If you believe that, you don't even accept the premise that you're not. So then what's going to happen is you're going to, your focus is going to be on things that show that you're cool because you don't accept the premise that you're not. What that is going to do is going to change your behavior. So again, you have beliefs. Repeat after me. Beliefs. Focus. Behavior. Okay, you might call that physiology. Say physiology. So it's how that's showing up in your behavior. Okay? So I'm sitting here and I'm running the room. And imagine the amount of confidence that it takes to walk up, no prep, running a room. Now, I've done this when my company's smashing it. We just happen to be coming off Black Friday right now, so we're doing pretty good. But my life's going pretty good right now. But so this is a little bit easier, right? It's easier for me to come in right now. Life's going good. It's not really that hard. But I got to tell you how many times I have come up on stages like this where we're having financial issues, our payment processors are shutting down. Some guy is stuck in another country and he just got devil's breath in fucking Colombia. These are all things that have happened to me and things way worse than this, if you remember 2014, okay? So way, way, way worse stuff than this. So given that I've been through that, okay, given that I've had those experiences, I still have to go up on stage. I've still got to get up there and go crush it. I don't have a choice. So what do you think happens when I walk into a room like this and I'm walking in and maybe the business will be going bad, maybe a girl that I love dearly just broke up with me, or maybe there's some kind of weird social change, I have to delete all my videos, or whatever else. I still did a free tour the week I deleted my videos, by the way. It was in Charlotte, it sucked, okay? The whole room was mad at me, like, Owen, what'd you do, I can't even explain it to them because that's how bad it's got. So, I still had to go up and do a free tour, and I killed it. I killed that free tour. I could show you that free tour. It's an awesome free tour. So, that's what I'm saying is you have to learn how to control your state, not just when things are good, but also when things are bad. So if right now we're in this kind of murky soup that I'm talking about here, where society's a mess, you still have to actively learn to control your state. But where are you going to learn how to do that? By being celibate for God? By being not greedy and saying, I believe I don't care about money? Will that do it? Like, is this where you're going to learn to control your state? Are you going to learn to control your state just staring at a wall? Where are you? And by the way, I'm a meditator. I'm just saying it's not all that I do. I believe in things like Vipassana and extended meditation retreats because it provides context, but you want to put that growth to the test in real life. So if right now you're sitting here and you feel beat down and spaced out, like say, you come up here and, you ask a little question and the host of the event just won't stop picking on you and so on and so forth, okay? We're going to have a big transformation video with him, okay? So what you're going to see is what happens is you got to say to yourself, well, how do I actively control my state? Like, what is the methodology that I use to control my state? And so again, like, I don't have a larger social prescription for what to do about this big topic that I raised here, this big can of worms that I delved into, that I'm not even sure if I can even post this video because just basic discussion about a social trend you get in trouble for. But the point being is like, I'll have to reflect on that, but the point being is, because you post it, but then that'll be the last video you ever post, right? So was it worth it, So it's kind of frustrating, right? That's how bad the social conditioning is right now. So if, and by the way, saying that guys have a hard time is not taking away from women's issues or what women have been through. Just different people go through different stuff. So in effect, what you have is you're in this kind of murky social conditioning that's kind of like a permanent version of being rejected at the bar club. That's what's happening. You're in this permanent version of that. Okay, like that rejection that you took when you're out, you're in a permanent state of that. It's a permanent state of that. So then how do you break yourself out? The same way that you shake yourself out of a bad night. It's the exact same way. That's how you shake yourself out of it. So you reflect on your underlying beliefs, then you change what you focus on, which then changes your behavior, and then so you have belief of yourself, what you focus on, the behavior that manifests, that comes out of you as a self-fulfilling prophecy, then what happens is you start getting better responses because you're doing better, because you're acting better, because you're focusing better, because you believe better. Then as you're getting better responses, that creates confirmation of that initial belief. And now you have evidence. You have legs for the belief set to stand on of the table. It's like a table of a belief set. There's legs in it now. So the problem is that if you have bad beliefs about yourself, then what's going on is, oh crap, I can't, I believe all these bad things about myself. I go talk to someone, they shut me down. I can't get a job. I'm too spaced out to build a business. People think I'm creepy. And then what's that doing? That's a negative loop that you're in. So guys have to learn to break out of that loop. Look, women have their own issues, and some are even have overlap with guys, and they have to use those kind of tools as well. But I'm just talking to you guys here. So you've got to actively break that, which means that you've got to get very, very, very clear, this is who I am. Then you've got to say, here's what I'm focusing on in myself. Then you've got to actually begin to manifest better behavior. Then what happens, you start creating a self-fulfilling prophecy and to actually get some evidence for these hoity-toity beliefs that you have about yourself. While, by the way, accepting some degree of negative feedback and having mentors so that as you still believe those good things about yourself, part of that identity is getting feedback and having mentors. So now you're switching that whole entire dynamic, and if you could just do that, you would pass the collective shit test. Okay? You guys want to pass the collective shit test? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. So that's sort of the gist of what I see happening. And by the way, even movies, which was originally a book like Fight Club, it's like you see some male model guy with kind of like a weird body type, right? It's this like it's not even a normal man's body type. And then they just post that all over the place, and he's wearing a certain brand. And then your brain says, wait, I can't have a winner effect unless I wear that brand, or unless I have that lifestyle, or unless I look like that. And the problem is, too, a lot of the men's content now encourages you to achieve that lifestyle before you even have the confidence, which is wrong, okay? Which is wrong. Okay, how do I know? Because I went out in a wheelchair. I had a great dating life in a wheelchair. So if I could do that in a wheelchair at age 45, I don't think you have to have the perfect lifestyle to be good at dating. But they'll tell you, no, you got to have the money and the car and the lifestyle and all this. That's not true. A good point they might say is that you could be so incredibly successful in dating while not having that stuff that it might distract you from making money. That you'll be so successful at dating that it will distract you from making money, and dating success is not everything. That would be true. That would actually be accurate. It's not, oh, you can't get success dating when you're a bit of a scrub. No, you can be a very cocky scrub with swag and have so much success that you never stop being a scrub because you're in a honey trap of nonstop validation. But it's not that you couldn't have success. I'm sorry to tell you. Okay, I know that because everybody I train gets success. So that's crazy. And I see it every weekend. And it's insane that people say that. So it's about having the mental strength to break through that shit test. And look, the truth is, when you have a significant other, that testing is going to continue. Because when you have a significant other, sometimes they're going to complain about shit that is stupid. But sometimes they're going to complain about shit that is smart. And sometimes they're going to complain about shit that is a shit test. So sometimes the person is just fucking stupid. And they're complaining about shit that's just dumb. Sometimes they're complaining about things that are actually real legitimate issues that have to be addressed. But sometimes it's just a shit test. They are going to shit test you for the rest of your life because they need to see that you're strong enough to mate with. Because you're putting your offspring in them. Whether you actually do it literally or metaphorically through the act of hooking up. So they are going to test you forever. So if you can't pass this little societal shit test, they don't trust you. They don't trust you with good reason. So as much as guys will talk about how women have gone off the rails, guys have also gone off the rails. Guys have also gone off the rails. Guys have also gone off the rails. Guys have forgotten even who they are. So it's both sides of it, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to see population is going to go way down, and there's going to be a birth crisis. And that's what's going to actually happen. Okay, there's going to be a birth crisis because the other side of this, we also have abortion, right? So you're going to see a birth crisis, and you're going to see population going down and down and down because the girls are just going to go for like the same one guy from Bumble. They're going to use birth control. If they get pregnant, they're going to get an abortion. And then the kids that do come around, most are not going to have two-parent households. And you're basically going to have a bunch of kids that were raised in a one-parent household at a sub-sustaining birth control rate happen, and then they're not going to be able to take care of the older people. right? And then you're gonna have to bring in people from other countries perhaps to sustain it, but that's pretty much what's gonna happen, okay? So these are the trends that you're seeing now. This is what you're a part of, but yet, I wanna be very, very clear here. Anybody who tells me that they're mad at this, what I would tell you is, are you mad about poverty in Africa? Like, do you wake up every day super pissed about poverty in Africa? Like, really tangibly angry every day? Why are you not angry about that every day? Because that's probably worse than this problem. Why are you not, if you're being honest, why are you not tangibly really pissed? Like, why is that not completely and utterly unacceptable to you, the amount of poverty that you see in certain poor parts of the world? And that you wake up every day shrieking in anger about it? How come you're not pissed about it? It doesn't affect you, right? You know what else doesn't affect you? This whole dynamic. Because you have me. It's true.
Does that affect you?
No.
The third world stuff?
Yeah. I like that people even clap for that. But it's true. It's because you have me. It's actually true. And people like me who teach this stuff. So I was just fucking with y'all, but you guys clap for that. So I think that's fucking great. So the point is that that's meant to be like a joke. But thank you. So that's great. I'm taking it. Further confirmation bias in the Owen loop that I'm cool. So in other words, yeah, you have guys that are showing you this stuff. So look, this does not affect you because you have the knowledge, okay? Because you have an understanding. Like, look, you shouldn't even want it to be easier because it's not even that hard. It's like, the sad truth is most guys rolled over with bare minimum resistance. They really did. Like this is such a low amount of resistance to actively beat. You could beat this in such a short period of time. You have no idea. Look, again, like let's just review this, okay? Here's basically how this will play out. And you guys will have this weekend to work on this. Pick some kind of a project that will challenge you. That could be a business. That could be maybe getting really good as a linchpin within your job. That could be a philanthropy. That could be that you just decide to say fuck it all and you're gonna go van life and just go see the whole country in a van, which by the way, I'm not opposed to that at all. I think that's super badass. Like I would love if a couple people in here were like, you know what? I'm gonna save up like just enough cash, and you did all the math on it with some buffer too. You gotta have some buffer in there, and then I'm just gonna go live in a van. I'm gonna go travel the whole country. That's so much better than just being a derper, being middle class. That'd be a great experience. You probably learn a lot from it, come back, you get rich when you come back. So I want you to just pick something, okay? Whether it's a trip of the country, whether it's an international trip, whether it's a philanthropy, whether it's a piece of art you wanna make, whether it's starting a social media profile, but just pick freaking something, okay? Pick something that challenges you in business or work or profession or expansion or creativity. Then pick a goal socially. Okay, I wanna get very, very, very good socially. Why? Because building up your skills socially, the fact that you go out to a social gathering and it forces you to actually control your state, that means that for 2 or 3 years, you would go to social gatherings and you would learn to control your state. And if you did that, you'd have a lot of ups and downs, but you'd learn to control your state. And here's the cool part. On one end of the spectrum, if you have super, super, super creepy, there's always another end of any spectrum. And on the other end of that spectrum, you have super, super, super attractive and cool. So again, if you learn to control your state, you might go from being super creepy, less creepy, relatively neutral, somewhat actually attracting people, to million out of 10 attractive. And you'll see that when you go out and you'll start saying, oh, well, here's where I suck and here's where I'm good. Just make sure that you're talking to people in a way that is win-win and is not bugging anybody. Okay, someone doesn't want to talk, just say, hey, have a good night. Don't be pursuing people who don't want to talk to you. So now go do that. Go to social gatherings, work on your social skills, work on your confidence, work on your state control. And there's 2 different forms of state control. You have active state control, say that, active state control, and baseline state. So and here's what you'll find is, if you can kind of spike your state using active state control when you go out, your baseline kind of follows that about 6 months later. So whatever you can kind of spike yourself up to on like a rager awesome night, sober, but again, alcohol kills this whole process. That's why I hate alcohol. You just learn nothing. Then whatever you can spike yourself up to, that'll be baseline for you in half a year to a year. And then, you'll do that for like 10 years, keep spiking up your state. It expands your range of how much it's kind of like how much light you can absorb, I guess. Like it's almost like how much spiritual light your circuitry can even absorb. You'll see that. It's super awesome, okay? So do that, have something social. Maybe have something spiritual. Go to things like Vipassana retreats or do meditation practices and just continue to work on that. Also, active study, getting mentors, reading books, things like that. Actively be doing those things. Actively be building up your body's, the micronutrients in your body and the nutrition in your body and your immune system and so on and so forth, right? Like actively be building up your natural health and your natural reserves of energy that you have. Be actively building those in your system. So that way, here's what's gonna wind up happening, okay? At the end of this process, you're gonna be freaking rich as hell. You're gonna have more money you can spend. You're gonna be doing something you think is cool as a job that you like. Your dating life and social life will be off the charts. Your spiritual life will provide a foundation for all that. You're not just gonna stop at spirituality, but it will provide a foundation and larger context for all of that. You're gonna travel more. You're gonna see more of the world, and you're gonna laugh more. You're gonna be in a better mood. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna be in the best health that you could possibly be in, whatever that is for you. You're gonna feel great, and life will be your oyster. And then from there, to be honest, I'm gonna tell you what winds up happening. It's like, I can't get rid of your problems. I can just increase the quality of your problems. Then you go from being the creepy derper that can't get a girlfriend, and you go to the opposite of that, where maybe you're dating a bunch of people and you're afraid of whose feelings you're gonna hurt. And you're gonna go the opposite problem. You're gonna be the person where, like literally, if you were to get a girlfriend, you're gonna have to make like a lot of phone calls to other people that you're saying, hey, like we're not continuing, and they're gonna be really, really, really hurt by that. You're gonna hurt people's feelings. And they might even behave a bit creepy in that process. So you wind up being the person on the receiving end of the creepy energy. And the reason why that is because when people are kind of just like, I guess you might say like disconnected from God, or disconnected from their winner effect, or disconnected from source, or disconnected from their spirituality, and somebody else has so much more light than they do, they will chase that light like a moth to a flame. They just want to be near it. And so if you keep amplifying that in yourself, other people will just want to be near it, and then funny enough, you might have someone that you're dating who actually is really, really cool, but your light is so much brighter than theirs, even though they're super cool, but you've just put so much work on it and they haven't. And all that they have is just a bunch of simps validating them, and their light is a bunch of simps, but your light is actually being built out so much deeper that what winds up happening is they start acting creepy on you. They start sending you the long, detailed text messages and, getting needy and, accusing you of things and like saying that you're not like loving enough. I mean, or things like that, right? And all this kind of stuff. And they start to get creepy. So you'll watch this person who's in super high demand, who all these people like, and they flip, and you're like, damn, you're kind of creepy. So that's what I'm saying, and that's what I think. So for girls who don't get it, like why guys are creepy, it's like, hey, we can all be creepy, right? And it's like, you're sourcing your spiritual energy from simps, from Instagram and so on and so forth, and from, being in a harem with some guy that won't even commit, but you're telling yourself he's your boyfriend, and you're sourcing from that. That's not healthy for you. And so the thing is like, that's just an unhealthy dynamic for all involved. But what happens is you get on the other side of that dynamic to where you become the one that people chase, okay? But look, in truth, by that point, you will be so far past it. You will be so far past dating. But again, it's always people that suck at dating that say they're past dating, right? They're always like, oh, I'm so far past it. I'm like, I don't even know how to say hi to somebody. But, you'll be so far past it that you will effortlessly have a crazy social life, crazy dating life. Like all that stuff will be effortless. It'll be a joke. You'll be so far past money because you'll know how to make it like it's a joke. Your health will be in peak shape. You're in great condition. You'll be having fun. You'll have had all the different every little stimulating thing, like living in a mansion or having the best watches or jewelry or cars or things like that. You'll have all that. And then you'll be like, this is kind of dumb, but it's a different kind of dumb because it's more like a Justin Bieber kind of dumb, where the renunciation does have meaning. Unlike someone who's just incapable of getting it because they don't know how, and they're scared, and they're lazy, and they're in derp state. And what'll happen is then that stuff will become deprioritized as you get older, but that'll be probably by your 40s or 50s, okay, after a lifetime of slaying dragons. And then what's gonna wind up happening is then you're gonna care more about contribution. And what'll happen is you won't even care about your own life that much. You're like, you know what? All human beings die eventually. My life is not that significant, and I wanna spend my life actually adding value and really teaching people how to say no. I want to spend my life waking people up and helping to break them out of this dynamic, but not breaking them out of the dynamic by telling them to meditate in my ashram and go, clean my bathroom or something like they do in these places, right? But instead, by actually showing people how to be phenomenally successful. And if you give them frameworks for that, and then you hold them accountable to that, and you can help them to be successful, hopefully they can then move from really, because so many of these lower level base tribes are fundamentally copes, right? There's a line between coping and thriving, and all these things, the money, the dating, health, all that stuff, that's more within the realm of getting coping down, right? Once you have that, you cross a line, now you're moving into thriving, which is like, can you create your ultimate creative masterpiece? You know, can you build your legacy? Can you go reach really high spiritual heights that you never thought that you could have? Self-awareness and understanding of your role in this brief life, and you know, things like that, right? So there's sort of an old, it's an old quote, I don't remember, but I think it was John Adams, where he was like, you know, we do war so that our children can do, you know, carpentry, and our children will do carpentry so our grandchildren can do poetry. Well, I've fudged that quote, but you get the idea of it, right? Well, go build this now, because that will create a framework for you to hit those higher paradigms later in life. So I'm a big fan of those higher paradigms, higher spiritual paradigms, all these higher paradigms. But here's what I notice. I notice that some of the worst people that should never be looking at this stuff wind up looking at it, right? Because for every guy that doesn't want to figure out how to build an internet funnel to pay his bills and so that his kids could actually have some organic food, that guy wants to go right to the higher level paradigms. It's like, but your kids can't even eat food without pesticide. Yeah, but none of that matters. It's all samsara, bro. And I just want to like live in the now or something, you know, right? And it's like, that's not for you, bro. That's not you. Like, you can't even, and what I find is that a lot of the people that are like that, I can't leave my wallet on the counter at my house when they're there. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to leave your wallet out when those guys go there. You got to hide your wallet. You got to hide the valuables. Because they'll go, because what's happened is they actually do want stuff, but they have suppressed that desire to have some material things so bad with the spiritual stuff that they've disowned that desire, and then you just come in and they stole your wallet. I've joked about this a bunch of times in my seminars. I call it a harvest moon in Nepali Coast. You guys remember that joke? Right? It's like, you know, I go to Nepali Coast, you see these hippies, they're like, you're like, hey, what's your name, bro? They're like, harvest moon. You're like, huh? Right? And you're like, where are you from? And they're like, we're all in the universe spinning through space, man. And you're like, okay. You know, and then you're like, well, good to meet you. And in your mind, you're like, what's your name? Steve? Like, who the fuck are you? Right? And then you go to bed, you wake up, your food's gone. You're like, where's my fucking food? You know, right? And then you go over to Harvest Moon's and he's like, right? And you're like, why'd you steal my granola bar, Harvest Moon? We're all in the universe, right? You don't need this, right? You're above the whole thing, right? It's like guys that say like, oh, I don't care about dating. You know you can't leave your girlfriend around that guy. That guy that says he doesn't care about dating or sex, you can never leave your girlfriend around that guy. Oh, I mean, on the low end, he's going to say, oh, he's a player, and I love you for real, and he doesn't really love you, and you should be with me. That's on the low end of what that guy's going to do. On the high end, he might get a little handsy. To say the least, by the way, to say the least. So it's always the person who says, oh, I don't care about sex, I don't care about money, I don't care about anything. That's the person that you should trust the least. Okay, so when I tell you, like, I don't care about money, what I mean is, I have money, and what I mean is, I know how to make money, and it's not something top of mind. I'm not saying, like, if I have no money at all, my children can't eat food, I don't care about money. That's just called a liar. So, you know, it's like, that's a disowned need, okay? That's a need. So it's okay to own your needs, but you have to own your needs in a healthy way, right? So the creeper who gets a little handsy with the girl at the club, he has the same need that a cool guy has. But the creeper is demoralized and in like a satanic derp state, so that's how it manifests, versus the cool guy is like, well, wait a minute, I need to like diffuse that, and I need to own that desire, and then work on my sense of humor, and work on my confidence, and work on my social skills, and have like a cool party to invite people to, and maybe work on my social media, and work on how to control my own energy and find my own light so I have light to give to somebody else. Right? They both have a need. One handles it in a toxic way, the other handles it in a healthy way. Right? But just getting rid of a need, that's not good. Okay? So what I'd say to you is have strategies to handle those needs. Like have a very, very, very good understanding of money. Okay? Spend your 20s and 30s studying marketing, studying product development, studying discipline, studying focus, and so on and so forth. Okay? Learning about social media marketing. I'd recommend that you learn to become a public speaker because there's a lot of easy money right now in just being having a personal brand. Okay? Learn about sales copywriting, things like that. Then from there, I'd recommend that you study spirituality. And don't study it as a way to hide from work. Study it as a way to enhance work. but study spirituality. So, a basic level book would be The Power Now by Eckhart Tolle. My favorite book is the Bible, but I actually think that for a lot of people, it's too advanced. Like, I actually believe that. It's this hyper, very esoteric, very advanced text that is so far past most people's heads, they don't have a context to even understand it. They jump right into it, and I want people to read the Bible, but it's a lot to take in, okay? It's a lot to take in without some base knowledge. But I still recommend reading it. And then from there, again, like extensive knowledge of nutrition. Make sure you have very, very extensive knowledge of nutrition so your mind can focus, so you're not getting sick all the time, so on and so forth. Make sure that you understand that. Well, make sure you understand sleep hygiene and sleep, so on and so forth, okay? You want to even this sounds a bit crazy, but like I made sure that I just understood the whole country. Like I took half a decade to just drive the country. I mean, that's just called an understanding. Like you should know where everything is and where the fun stuff is and how to go have fun and so on and so forth. Like explore your city properly, explore where the venues are. Continue to build your knowledge out. And it's like I said, now imagine a guy doing that, and if you're a woman, right? Imagine that you're a woman and you've met a guy who creates his own spiritual light and isn't trying to suck off of yours, okay? So you feel that you're gaining energy when you're around him. The guy has also figured out how to get money down, not because you're a gold digger, but because you just don't want to feel like, yeah, this man that I'm trusting to lead me, can't even pay the rent. So, right, and again, like, you don't need to be able to do that in order to have some wild nights, but in general, I just think it's for your own self-respect. So think about that for a minute. And then from there, someone who even understands the city or like the city or the country or things like that, right? If you're taking a girl out, like, do you know the city? Like, do you know your city? Do you know places to go? Or if you don't know it, can you go find stuff like quickly, right? Do you have cool friends? Can you introduce her to other cool people so she feels like she's joining a tribe and there's actually like something there for her? Like there's an added value, there's a point, right? There's some kind of benefit to it. Things like frame control and underlying frames that are happening, you've got to understand that stuff very, very well as well, okay? So if you begin to get these kind of basic level things down, and let's say that we shifted that, like you can learn this stuff within a weekend if you focus. The bigger question is, can you focus? But in theory, if you can focus, you can learn it quick. And then from there, what I would say is, if you as a living example and embodiment of that can do that, now you can train that to your sons. Okay, so now your sons get that. And they get it via you teaching them, but they also get it by observation. Okay, so by the way, I never taught my kids anything at all. Do you guys remember seeing videos of my son at age 11 running the whole seminar? Yeah. I didn't teach him that. I didn't say, here's the public speaking skills, okay? I gave him about a half an hour of tutorial, and then he was able to do it after that. So he saw that by observation. They replicate what you do. They attune to your vibration, and so on and so forth. They attune to your energy field. He was able to come and do that because he's attuned to an energy field where things are easy and not scary. So he lives in that. That's also why you want to be near your children, and so on and so forth, okay? So you can individually begin to shift that dynamic via some effort. And here's the best part. This is easier than your life now. I promise you, my life is the easiest of anybody in here. I have a very easy life. Very easy. The thing is this, life is actually easier if you could just focus. So in other words, if you can't focus, and you ever heard the expression, if you don't have a plan for your life, somebody else does? You ever heard that? Yeah. Okay, so if you can't focus, the plan for your life is to basically be this like bukkakied, empty shell for the Chinese Communist Party to pump TikToks down your throat, and for giant corporations like BlackRock to just pump their garbage down you, and drug dealers to pump their garbage down you, pesticides and all this other stuff. Like you are just this giant bukkakied receptacle. That's what you actually are. If you want to know what I really believe, I believe that you're a receptacle for demons, but I'll spare you that rant. Okay? So basically a demon-possessed bukkake receiver who basically just is pumped from every fucking angle, from every demonic fucking source that has something to shove in you. You just take it. So now you basically just walk, like you want to know the real reason why women think guys are creepy. So now you just take it and you're just like spaced out. And you're like, 2020, okay. I'll see you in 2 years. I'll go in my basement. Owen called me to the front and said to yell, could men and women get married? Even though this is the whole talk. Oh, I make less than $25,000 a year. I'm scared to talk to a girl at a club. I read The Power Now and I'm still stuck in my head. I get a fucking cold 4 times a year and I get sick. I haven't seen it in the country and I live through my fucking phone. But at least I have one thing I can fucking masturbate, and at least I can control my state there and have a big win with a big pile of nut on my fucking stomach. 1,000 out of 10. Okay? So that's what I'm getting at is you can break that cycle, okay? So that's the conclusion of this speech. This is my first speech here, getting here, is you can escape just nutting all over your stomach and being a receptacle for all this satanic shit. And then from there, what you could do is you can actually totally reverse that course, okay? Totally reverse that course. But this is the question I have for you. Can you guys actually fucking commit to doing this?
Yes!
Okay, no, but actually. Yes. Are you just saying yes because I'm pumping you?
No.
Are you actually thinking for yourself?
Yes.
Okay, are you actually fucking thinking for yourself?
Yes.
Do you swear on God?
Yes.
Do you swear on God? Yes. Do you swear on fucking God? Okay? Will you actually do it? Do you swear on fucking God? On God! Okay. All right, well then give yourself a hand. We're through there for a segment, okay? Okay. Good for you.